Hello everyone, can you hear me? Okay. So today we'll have a review of the content. But first of all, an acknowledgement of the country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of Australia and recognize their continuing connection to land, water, and culture. I am currently on the land of the Burra-Matagal people and pay my respect to their elder, past, present, and emerging. I further acknowledge the traditional owners of the country on which you are on and pay respect to their elder, past, present, and future. So today, first half an hour, we'll talk about final exam. Okay, so if you have any confusion, any clarification you need regarding final exam, today is the day to ask the question. So ask any question you might have regarding final exam and I'll try to answer those. Okay. I'm guessing everyone have got the final exam schedule. So the exam for this unit is on 26th of November. Time will be 9 a.m. Remember that is Sydney time. If you are not in Sydney or you're not in Australia, so you need to adjust that time accordingly. Total duration of the exam is 175 minutes. The division of that time is reading time 10 minutes, then writing time 150 minutes, and then output time is 15 minutes. What does reading time mean? So reading time is there so that you can have a look into all of the question, then plan your answer, which one you are going to answer first, which one later, right? So those sort of things. So that 10 minutes is there to read the question paper. Okay. You can start writing at that time if needed, that's fine. After that, you have 150 minutes to write the solution. And in this case, for the final exam, you will not be writing in the Canvas page. Okay, like in quiz, you write the answer in the Canvas quiz, right? So there is a box there, text box, where you write the text. But for the final exam, that is not what will happen. So this will be a Canvas assignment. Okay, so you're already familiar with the assignment. How do you submit an assignment? So you prepare a document yourself. Right? So all the questions will be there in the Canvas page. Looking at the question, you will write your answer in your own text file. Okay, like you formatted your assignments. And once you are done, you will convert that text file into an PDF file and then upload that PDF file to Canvas. Okay. So since everyone will start the exam at the same time and they will submit exams at the same time as well, right? So there might be some delay in uploading. So that's why we have this 15 minutes to upload your submission. Okay, so these 15 minutes should be used to upload only. Don't think that I will use 10 minutes from this 15 minutes to write and then in last 5 minutes I will upload. Okay, remember everyone starts the exam at the same time and there is no late submission. So no late submission means if 175 minutes is gone, you will not be able to upload anything. The portal will simply close. Okay. So in assignment, you can have few seconds late. That's fine, right? When you upload an assignment or you submit a quiz, if you are a few seconds late, the system says that you are a few seconds late. But in the final exam, that is not the option. Okay, if 175 minutes is gone, then the portal will simply close. You will not be able to upload anything. Okay, so you have these 15 minutes, extra 15 minutes, within which you must have to upload your exam. Okay, and since this is not like quiz, if you don't submit, it will not submit automatically anything for you. Okay. Few questions are there in the chat box I can see. I will not answer them right now. So let me go through all of these rules and regulations that I have. Hopefully then you will get your answer. If not, I will answer those questions, okay? So hopefully you get this idea. I will show you we have a practice quiz. So there I will show you how to upload and do things like that. So the exam, you will not find that in our regular Canvas page. You will not find the final exam in our regular Canvas page. There will be a special Canvas page created for you. That Canvas page title will be final exam for, then the unit number, Comp 9120. So in this semester, in how many courses you have enrolled, for each of those courses or unit, you will have one final exam page, okay, for each of those courses. So you will get access to this page no later than 7 days before the exam. So our exam is on 26th of November. So that means by 19th of November, you all should have access to this Canvas page, final exam for Comp 9120. In case if you have any exam adjustment, like you are registered with disability service or you have any special consideration, so all of those things will be handled by exam office. Okay, final exam is not handled at the unit level. It is handled by the exam office. Okay, so exam office will send a notification to you if you are registered with disability service or you have an exam adjustment no later than 3 days before the exam, and they will let you know that your exam has been adjusted. By how much, that's what they will say as well. If you have any question regarding final exam scheduling, right, you have a clash, you cannot take the exam at that time, you have some technical problem, things like that, so you need to contact exam office. Okay, like I said, final exam, that is totally handled by exam office, not by us, the teaching team at the unit level. Okay, and they will be able to help. In that Canvas page, this final exam for Comp 9120, and the home page of this Canvas page, you will see the contact information as well. If you need to contact them, where should you contact, even during the exam or before the exam? So that is not the teaching team, but there will be an address. People will be there. Okay, a lot of people are waiting there, especially during the exam, to answer your question if you have technical difficulty. Only thing you need to be careful about is the time. When we are doing Canvas quiz, there is a timer, right? So which counts down. So there you can have a look and see how much time do you have left. But since this is an assignment, in an assignment, there is no clock. Okay, so it will not show you how much time you have left. So it will be your responsibility to keep track of the time. Don't rely on that you will have a look on the clock and just figure that one out. Set the alarm in some place, okay? So that once the time runs out, you know, okay, that your time is running out. So this is the most important thing from my experience that I have got from the student, that some of the student might just be too focused to write the answer that they forget about the time. Since Canvas does not show the time, right? So if 175 minutes there is gone, you will not be able to do anything. Okay. So keep track of your time. You have to do that yourself. Okay. That is the most important thing. Next is question type. What should be the question type? There are no MCQs. That is the first thing. Okay. No MCQs simply means that you are going to get those sort of questions in the final exam as well, but only the options will not be there, right? In quiz 1 and quiz 2, so you had a question and then there are 4 answers, right? So from the 4 answers, you selected which is the correct one. So that's what MCQ means. In the final exam, same sort of questions will be there, some short answer question, but those options will not be there. That is a simple thing. Okay. So no MCQ question will be there in the final exam. In total, there will be 10 questions. So since there is no MCQ, all of those are short answer type or essay type question. Okay, and there will be 50 marks. And these are all the things that we have covered. Drawing ERD diagram. So in the final exam, you have to draw an ERD diagram. Then relational model, we learned how to convert those ERD diagram into schema diagram. Then we learned about relational algebra, SQL, integrity constraint, then transactions, normalization, storage, how to calculate storage, indexing, and finally query processing last week. So all of these things you need to have a look. There will be 10 questions, okay, in the final exam, and all of those will be essay type questions. Next thing is just reminding you of these rules that we have, that exam covers 50% of the final mark, and you must have to obtain at least 40% mark in the final exam, as well as overall at least 50% to pass this unit, right? So since we have 50 marks, 40% simply means that 20 marks, right? So you need to get at least 20, and in total overall you need to get at least 50 to get a pass in this unit. There is a practice exam available in Canvas. I suggest everyone to at least go through that exam so that you know how to prepare the document, how to upload the document, okay, where to see for help or where to have a look if some issues occur. Okay, so this practice exam is available in our regular Canvas page. Okay, so that's where you can try that one. Now I will answer questions from the chat. Let me have a look. Is this open book exam? Yes, this will be an open book exam. How many questions? I guess I have already answered that. Will you teach us how to upload? Yes, I can show you how to upload regarding this practice exam. I will show you. Can we do multiple upload or just one? No, you can upload multiple times. That's fine. But like previous rule, we will only mark the last one. So during that 15-minute extra time that you have, so my suggestion will be, once you are done with your exam, upload it, okay, so that you have some submission. After uploading, check if you need to make some modification, right? So if you need to make some modifications in few of the questions, you can do that and then upload again. You can upload multiple times, only the last one will be marked. If I miss the submission, can I apply for any special consideration? You can apply, but there will be very little chance for that one to approve because you have that extra 15 minutes. Okay, so you need to show supporting document and the issues you need to explain why that 15 minutes was not enough for you. How many questions in the final? We already answered that. So basically the final exam will be harder quiz 1 and quiz 2 at the same time. Yes, we will cover everything in the final exam. This is the 10 topic in the question. Do we have sub question in each 10? No, that will be a wrong idea to think about, right? That if you think that I will get one from ERD, one from relational model, that one might not be true. You might get 2 questions from some of this part. Okay, like SQL, you might get 2 questions where you have to write SQL. Okay. Is there any sub questions? Yes, for SQL, there will be 2 or 3 SQL you have to write, like relational algebra, you have to write 2 or 3, right? Things like that. So there will be sub questions there. In each question 5 mark or some way more than others, some way more than others. Okay, so not all of those questions will be of equal value. Can we use both handwriting and typing? Handwriting is not recommended at all. Okay, we sometimes cannot read your handwriting. So if we can't understand what you have written, because right after writing you will take a picture, right? So take a picture and then upload. If the picture does not load properly, if we can't read your handwriting, you will simply get 0. Okay, so don't do that. Type everything. Okay, don't also try to take any picture and just upload the picture. Picture might not load sometimes. Okay, so all of those issues you can simply ignore if you simply type everything. For the diagram, you have to draw the diagram, okay, in the final exam. So you can use any of those softwares like Draw.io or Lucid or anything, or if you simply draw it using Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, that will be fine as well. Okay. Is it only one file that gets uploaded, or can I upload one PDF with written answer, one JPG from drawing an ERD? No, there will be only one file. So like I said, we will only mark your last one. Okay. So if you upload 3 documents, we will not look into your last, we'll only look into your last document. Okay. So upload only one, and in that document, you need to include all the answer. Do we need to draw some diagram in the exam? Yes. You must have to draw at least one ERD, okay, in the exam. So you have to draw a diagram in the final exam. Is the final exam similar as quiz 1 and quiz 2? Yes, only difference is there is no MCQ. Okay, so in the final exam, there will be no MCQ, but in quiz 1 and quiz 2, we had MCQ. Do we need to draw ER diagram? Yes, you do. Do final exam include the content of week 7? No, it does not. Week 7 will not be covered during final exam. Is final include trigger? Yes, it does. Will be one big question from each topic? No, there will be short questions, like I said, right? So there will be sub questions as well. Okay, so those questions might be simple short answer question. Does the final exam include programming? No, it does not. So programming we only learned in week 7, right? So that one is excluded from final exam. So you don't need any programming. Any other question, anyone? How can we prepare well for the exam? Any suggestion? Yeah, first have a look into the practice exam. Okay, that is the first thing, so that you get an idea what type of question you might get in the final exam. And then go through this lecture content and tutorial sheets that you have. Okay, there are quiz 1, quiz 2 questions will be another option for you to have a look, to guess, okay, which sort of problem you are going to get. So main thing is go through the lecture content and the tutorial sheets. Those will prepare you. If you are looking for other exercise question, okay, then look into the book. In that Ramakrishnan textbook, which is the prescribed textbook. Okay, so in there you will see a lot of exercise there. You can try those as well. So we only have SQL in the exam, no Python or Java. Yes, that's right. Only SQL, no Python or Java. Does the final exam include mark shot? Yes, it does include external mark shot. Are we allowed to use calculator? Yes, you can. Any correlation between difficulty of practice exam and final exam? Almost similar. Okay. Each question has word limit? No. Like I said, you will prepare a document, right? So you will write everything in your own document. So there you can write as many words as you want to describe the thing. Okay, so there is no word limit. Will exam be similar to practice exam? Yes. Do we need to draw a diagram in other app and then copy and paste a screenshot into Word.doc? So again, depends on you where you want to draw the diagram. If you are drawing the diagram in draw.io, you don't need to take a screenshot. You can export from there, right? You can simply export and it will return a nicely drawn image file, and then what you can include in your file, right? Or if you're simply drawing the diagram in Microsoft Word, then you don't need to take any screenshot, right? So it depends on you which software you are using to draw. Can we use the online drawing tool during the exam? Yes, you can. Can we get a standard solution for practice exam? No, we will not provide any standard solution, but during this review today and next week, okay, so I will show you how to answer those questions. Okay, so that's what this review will be today and next week. Will we get answer for sample exam paper? No, you will not, but you are allowed to discuss those with your tutor in this week tutorial or next week tutorial, or ask me any question if you have already seen that today or next week as well. What was the average mark of last year's final exam? I have to check. Sorry, I don't know that one right now. I have to check. Can we have the solution for practice final exam? No, that's what we are not going to provide. Any tutorials today? Yes, there will be tutorial this week and next week as well. Any other question, anyone, regarding final exam? Today is the day, okay, to ask anything regarding final exam. Okay, so someone is asking, can we get a standard solution for essay questions in quiz 1 and quiz 2? That one is already available, right? The solution for quiz 1 has already been released for you. Once we are done with quiz 2, then we'll release that solution as well. What is question about trigger? Yeah, you might have to write a trigger, right? No proctor because it's an assignment. Yes, it is not proctored. Can we get marks for practice exam? No, practice exam will not be marked. So, like I said, the final exam will be an assignment. Okay, remember that thing. So you need to click on assignment when you get access to that page. Final exam for comp 9120. Okay, so I'm showing you this practice final exam in a regular page, but the actual final exam will be in a new Canvas page. Remember to click on assignment, not on quiz. Okay, in quiz you will not find anything. So you need to click on assignment, and there you will get that final exam. So here we have a practice final exam. Okay, here you will see the questions. Okay, all the questions, 10 questions will be there. First thing, if you have difficulty that these images are not loading in your Canvas page, okay? So during the final exam, there will be a PDF which contains all of these images. Okay, so if you click on there, you will be able to see all of those images that were required. Okay, so that is only when the image does not load properly in your window. Okay, then you can download this PDF which will contain all the images, okay, in this question. So like in this practice exam, we have only 2 images in question 2 and question 6. That's what you can see. So you will have a look into this question. You will prepare the document like you do for the assignment. Once you are done, you will simply upload from here. Okay. So you will simply click on here. Let's say this is the PDF that we have. So this is the PDF and you submit. Okay. So if you simply submit, it will be there. You can have a look into the preview. Okay. That one should be written in here. Yep. So this is the first attempt that you have made. Okay. And at the bottom of the page, you will be able to see the PDF. So always check after uploading whether everything is fine or not. Have you uploaded the correct document? If you need to upload again, you can do that. Okay. So you can click on try again. Then upload. Okay, any other file. This time I only have this PDF. You can submit. Okay, so now you can see that it's showing attempt 1 and attempt 2, right? Like I said, we'll only mark the last one. So check the last one whether everything is fine. It will show you a preview in here. Okay, whatever you have uploaded in that page. Okay, so that is the simple thing. Prepare the document, convert it into a PDF, and then upload. Okay, that's it. Any other question? Do we need to turn on our camera? No, no camera. Can we get last semester average mark of final exam? Like I said, I don't remember it right now, but yes, I can give you next week. I just have to figure out that mark. So next week I will give you that. Okay, don't worry. Can we upload two files, one PDF for writing and one PDF for drawing? No. Again and again, remember this thing will only mark your last file that you upload. Okay, so if you are uploading two, it will show attempt one and attempt two. So we'll only mark your last, which in this case is attempt two. Okay, so there, if we have only the PDF but no images, you will not get marked for the images. Okay, so you only upload one file, and in that file you will include everything. It means we need to draw the answer in Word and then convert it to PDF for submission. Do I understand it right? Yes, you understand correctly. In final exam, will we get partial mark if the result is not completely correct, but the process is partially correct? Yes, you will get partial mark. Okay. Any negative marking or only 0 for wrong? No negative marking, and partial marks will also be there. Okay. Any other question, anyone? So you will get used to all of these things. So this is the process that you will follow for all of your unit that you are enrolled in. Okay. So don't worry too much regarding this uploading thing. Any other question regarding final exam? Looks like none. So go through the practice exam, try to upload at least one document in there, okay, so that you know the process. Write your answer in the Word file, convert it into PDF so that you don't have to worry about all of these things. Okay. So like I'm saying that you must have to draw an ER diagram. So make sure you know which software you are going to use. Okay. So use that software to draw ER diagrams so that you are familiar with all of these things. Okay. How you are going to take that one and put it into the Word document. Practice all of these things at least once. Okay. So that during the final exam, you don't have to worry about these things. Can we see the solution of the practice exam? No. Okay. Someone is saying it means only we get 20 points from final exam, then we can pass. So you need to get at least 20 in the final, and overall you need to get 50, right? So total mark should be 50, and in the final exam alone, you need to get at least 20 to get a pass. Can we call you for moral support during the exam? No, during the exam, communicating with the teaching staff is completely prohibited. Okay. So if you need any help during the exam, then there will be an address there in the homepage, okay, with whom you can contact. Okay, so there are a lot of people waiting for you to contact them, and they will provide you clarification regarding any technical stuff. Is there any text format requirement for submission? No. As long as we can understand that, right, or we can read that, then everything is fine. Only thing we have seen, few people have done that unintentionally. I am guessing that they have written some answer in language which is not English. Okay. If that is the case, then you will definitely going to lose mark. Okay. Just be careful when you're preparing the documents, saving and uploading. Everything is in English. Okay, so I think that's it for today regarding the final exam. Have a look into the practice exam, go through all of those steps. Like I said, if you have any question, we still have 1 week, and I will answer those next week. Okay. Okay, so this is what I said at that time, that week 7 is not included in the final exam. Other than that, everything else is included. Right. Drawing ER diagram, converting that one into logical design, then writing relational algebra or SQL, database integrity or integrity constraint, transaction, normalization, storage indexing, and query processing. So all of those things will be covered in the final exam. Since we have a quiz this week on week 6 to week 11, right? So we have a quiz. So that's why I thought that first we will revise or review this part so that that is helpful for your quiz as well. Okay. So today we'll review all of this content from database integrity to query processing, few of the things, okay, we'll review. And next week I will review this first part, ERD and things like that. Someone is asking, do we need to write the SID on the top of the PDF? It is not required, but if you do that, that will be helpful. Okay. So if you put all of those information, your SID, your name, things like that, will be definitely helpful for us. But even if you miss those, that's fine. Okay, because your submission will go into your account as well. Okay, so from your account, we can see only those submissions. But try to format it nicely. Only one thing that I'll mention is answer the questions consecutively. First 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So if you are answering the questions like first question number 1, then question number 6, that's fine. But in the document that you prepare, put everything in an order. Okay, so that there is no confusion when we are marking. Okay, so that's what I said, that first we'll have a review today in this second part, like week 6 to week 11, and next week we'll talk about this first part. Okay, since we have a quiz this week. Okay, so starting from pushing or putting integrity constraint, think about we have these 3 tables: film, actor, and film actor. These 3 tables we have, and these are the attributes and these are the values we have. And to create this table, these are the statements that I have used. Have a closer look. First thing we want to figure out is what will be the output after I execute this query. So the question is asking what will be the record of film and film actor table after executing the following query. Delete from film where film ID equal to 101. So in the chat box, just tell me how many attributes or how many record will I have in film table and film actor table after executing this one. Just how many record I have. Don't need to write everything. So this is how we have created these tables. Someone said 2 in film actor and 3 in actor. We're not talking about actor. We are only talking about film table and film actor. So film and film actor, not the actor table. Only these 2 will be affected. So how many will be there? Someone wrote everything. Film 2, actor 4, film actor 2. Both will have 2. Both 2. Any explanation why both will have 2? Does anyone wants to speak? If you want to speak, that's what you can do as well today. Okay, so just let me know if someone wants to speak and give us the explanation. I will let you unmute yourself. Okay. Yeah. Everyone almost say delete cascade, delete cascade. Okay. Parent die, son die as well. Yep. Yes, so you got it right, because the condition that we have in here is that foreign key film ID references film and on delete cascade. Okay. So since we are deleting something from the film table, which is the parent table, so from film actor table, that one will be deleted as well. Right. So as soon as I delete 101, this 101 will be deleted as well because of this on delete cascade. Okay, what about this one? Again, first thing, how many record will I have? And then think what would be the record. So this time, instead of delete, I'm trying to update actor table, setting some new value where actor ID equal to this previous value I had. So how many attribute will, how many record will I have in actor table and film actor table? First of all, that is the one we want to figure out. Someone said 4 and 3. 4 and 3. Four and 3. So currently we also have 4 and 3, right? In actor and film actor. In here I have 4. In here I have 3. So will it be exactly same, or will there be any change in these two tables? So everyone is saying here we'll have 4. So here I have 4. Here we'll have 3. Here I have 3. So after doing this, will this be exactly same, the output, or will there be any changes? Someone said actor ID. Can you tell me in which table? You have written actor ID will change to 0 as default. In which actor ID? So I have actor ID in actor table and film actor table as well. Okay, you are saying in the film actor table. Okay. Someone is saying what is default set? Yep, that's what I wanted to remember. Both actor ID, that is 981, have been changed to 999. So you are saying this one will change to 999 and this one will also change to 999. Why? Yep, someone said this 981 will change to 999, but this one will change to 0. Yep. Someone is saying actor will change, film actor will not. Someone is asking what does 4 and 3 means? 4 and 3 means how many record I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 1, 2, 3. So that's what that means. Okay, look into the condition. What is this condition is saying? So this condition is saying foreign key actor ID references actor on delete, on update, set the default. If there is an update, then set the default value. And here we can see for actor ID, there is a default value there. Right? So that's what this statement is saying. On delete, set default. So if there is an update, not on delete, on update. So on update, set default. If there is an update, so that's what I'm doing. Then I'm updating the parent table. Okay, set the default value. That's what this one is saying. So that's why what we will have in the actor table, this one will change to 999. That's what I'm trying to do. Right, 981 should be changed to 999. That's what will happen. But in the film actor table, this actor ID will become 0. Okay, because in here we have on update set default. Someone is asking, can we write cascade here? Yes. If you wrote on update cascade, then this one will be 999. Okay, whatever value we have, that one will go there. Hopefully making sense. Someone is asking 00 for both. No, this one will be 999. Only in here it will be 0. Because only in film actor table we have a default value which we will set, but in the actor table we will change 981 to 999. So that's what we'll see. Any question on this? Okay, let me move. Thinking about assertion. In integrity constraint, we also learned about assertion, right? So let's say I have these three tables: employee, works, and department. In employee table, employee ID is the primary key. In works table, employee ID and department ID is the primary key. We have a composite primary key there. In department table, manager ID is the foreign key coming from employee table, it's employee ID, right? So we want to write an assertion that will ensure that all the managers have age greater than 30. So can you just write the SQL to ensure all of the managers have age greater than 30? How will you get the age of all the managers? First thing that part. Okay, then we'll put that condition. Someone is asking, I thought no assertion in SQL, PostgreSQL. Yes, we will not be able to write assertion in PostgreSQL, but that does not mean that we are not going to learn assertion. So we'll learn assertion, trigger, everything for the final exam. So first, simply think how you can figure out the age of all the managers. You can write the SQL query for that. Forget about all the conditions, forget about assertion and everything. Okay, you simply need to give me the manager ID and their age. What would that SQL will look like? Once we figure that one out, then we can put that condition, right? Whether that age is greater than 30 or not. Someone wrote using not exists. Create assertion something, check not exist, select something from employee where age is greater than 30. That one would be wrong, because you are checking every employee's age. But the question is saying only the managers cannot have greater than 30 age. Okay? So you first need to check whether that employee is a manager or not. Someone wrote select employee.age department.manager ID from work, join employee from, I'm guessing you meant where, not from, in the third line. Someone said join all the tables together. Select manager ID from employee natural join works, natural join department where age is greater than 30. Yes, that looks good. Yes, looks good. Create assertion is check, select manager ID, department, works. No, your query will not work. Whoever is written create assertion is check, select manager ID from department and works. and employee. So since you are using comma in there, right? So you need to put all of those conditions, that this employee ID is equal to that employee ID, those sort of thing. If you are using natural join, then you don't have to put that condition. But since you're using comma, you need to put all of those conditions as well to join all of those. Okay, yep. So we can write that in many different ways. Someone tried using not exists. Yeah, that's what we can do. But first we need to figure out who is the manager, right? So one way could be something like this. Look into employee table and department table, employee table and department table, and simply check whether this employee ID is equal to this manager ID. So that simply means that that employee is a manager. Hopefully making sense. Once we select their age, right, we simply need to check whether that is greater than 30. And we put that inside check, whether that is greater than 30. And then we simply write create assertion in name, right, that assertion, and then check whatever you have. Or if you are using not exist, that's what you can do, like someone did. But first you need to figure out the manager, and then from there you can check. Does this one make sense? Yes, someone is asking for the syntax for assertion. Yep, create assertion, then in assertion name, then depending on which one you are using. So here I've used check. You can use not exist. Okay, so depending on that, you are going to use that keyword, either check or not exist, and then query that you have. Someone is asking why employee ID equal to manager ID. So if employee ID equal to manager ID, that simply means that from employee table, I am only getting those employees who are manager, right? So in here, in employee table, I have, let's say 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Those are the employees. But in manager, in this table, in manager, I have only 1, 2, 3. Right. So from here, I'll not check everyone's age. I'll simply check the manager's age, right? So I need to check whether this one is equal to this one. If these two are equal, which is employee, then I can get his age, right? For 1, 2, 3, I can get his age. And I want to check whether that is greater than 30. That's why we have that condition in there. Someone is asking what is DID? DID means department ID. Does this make sense, everyone? Okay, let me move forward. Okay, next part is about figuring out the conflict serializability, whether a given schedule is serializable, conflict serializable or not. Okay, so how to do that? Let me show you this one, then I will give you time to try the next ones. Okay, so how to do that? First thing we need to do is that we first need to figure out the conflict. Okay, how many conflict do I have in this case? So if you remember about conflict, so conflict had 3 conditions. First condition is that they should work on the same data item. They should come from different transaction. And the last condition was at least one of them have to be right. Right? So we only have reading and writing. So at least one of those conflicting pair have to be writing. So knowing all of those conditions, how many conflict do I have in this case? In this case, I have 2 conflict. Which one? First one is R1X and W2X. So R1X and W2X. This is the first conflict that we have. Okay. And the second conflict, we'll figure that one out. So how do we say whether they are conflict serializable or not? If you remember, we draw a graph, right? So from that graph, we need to figure out. So in here, I have 2 transactions. We only can see 1 and 2. So that simply means T1 and T2. So this one is saying R1X and W2X. So R1, so first I need to perform T1, then I need to perform T2. That's what this line is saying. So that's why we will have an arrow from T1 to T2. Next conflict is between W2Y and R1Y. Right. So there we have another conflict. So that's why I have an arrow in here from T2 to T1, right? Because first here we have to perform 2, then 1. So these are all the conflicts that I have. Now I need to figure out whether this graph contains any cycle. Is there any cycle in this graph? Yes, we can see that from T1, we can go to T2. From T2, we can come back to T1. So cycle means if we start from a node A, there is a path using which we can come back to A. So that's what cycle means. Okay, so if we start from T1, we can go to T2. From T2, I can come back to T1. So there is a cycle. Since there is a cycle in here, right? Since there is a cycle, that's why it is not conflict serializable. Hopefully that part is making sense. So in this case, there is a cycle in this graph, so it is not conflict serializable. So we don't have to do anything. If it is conflict serializable, then we have to give an equivalent serial schedule. That's what we will do in the next example. But this is not conflict serializable, so we don't have to worry about anything. Someone is asking, how come you didn't include a bubble for 3? Yes, so you can draw something for 3. T3, but since there will be no connection and things like that, right? So that's why I didn't draw that one. But yes, you can have one for T3. Okay, so try to do that for this one. Someone is asking, do we need to draw this diagram in final exam? Yes, in the final exam, you need to draw this diagram and explain. So that's what this one is saying. Justify your answer, right? So you need to draw the diagram, and from there you need to say. And later I'll show you in one of the examples that without drawing this diagram, it will be really difficult to say what will be the equivalent serial schedule. Okay, first try this. First in the chat, let me know how many conflicts are there in this given schedule. First, figure out how many conflicts are there. Just write in the chat how many conflicts. Someone say 3, someone say 3 with a what? Probably not sure. Someone is now saying 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Looks like 2 is winning. So whoever said 3, can you tell us which 3? Because it looks like 2 is winning. What is the extra one that you have found? We can check. Yeah, someone wrote the solution as well. R1X to W2X and R3X to W2X. So those are the 2 we can figure out. Right. So there are 2 conflicts in this case. That's right. Whoever got 3 probably make a mistake. Okay. So now we know which are the conflicting pair. So try to think whether if we draw that graph, will there be any cycle? Is it conflict serializable? So if we draw the graph, how will it look like? And from there, you need to figure out whether it is conflict serializable or not. Someone said no cycle. So there it is complex serializable. Yes, excellent job. Yeah, so if I draw this one, so I have 3 transactions in this case. So the first conflicting pair is R1X and W2X. So R1X and W2X. This is the first conflicting pair. So I need to draw from 1 to 2 my edge. Okay, so there will be an edge from 1 to 2. What is the other pair that we have? Other pair is R3X and W2X. R3X, this one, and W2X. So these are the conflicting pair as well, right? So that simply means that I need to draw an arrow from 3 to 2. These are the only 2 conflict we have, and there is no cycle in this graph, right? So since there is no cycle, that simply means it is conflict serializable. It is conflict serializable. So that simply means that we can figure out an equivalent serial schedule from here. Someone is asking about what about R2Y and W2Y? Is it conflicting pair? Someone is asking this question. Is it a conflicting pair? No. Why not? Someone answered that they are coming from the same transaction. Yep. So this is coming from T2. This is also coming from T2. Since they are coming from the same transaction, that's why they are not conflicting. Yep. Okay, so we don't have any cycle, so it is conflict serializable. Okay. So since it is conflict serializable, that simply means that we can now have a serial schedule. Which one we need to do first among these 3 transactions? We can perform T1 or we can perform T3, right? So we can perform either of them because there is no incoming edge in there. So we can either perform T1, T3, then T2. Okay, only when I finish T1 and T2, then we can perform T2. That's what this one is saying. Or I can perform T3, T1, and then T2. Hopefully this is making sense. Someone is asking, what is meant for each serializable schedule? Determine the equivalent serial schedule. Yeah. So if this is serializable, so that's what you are saying. That it is conflict serializable. That simply means that I can serialize this one. So that's what next question is asking. So give me the equivalent serial schedule, and that's what we are doing here. Someone is asking, can I do T2, then T1, T3? No. Can we do that? Look into this graph. What does this graph is saying? This graph is saying to perform T2, you first need to perform T1. That's why we have an arrow, right? So think about what example can I give you? Your course selection. Okay, so these are prerequisite for taking this. So in the first semester, which course can you take? So this one is saying to take T2, first you need to complete T1 and T3. Okay, so in the first semester, you can either take T3, you can take T1, doesn't matter in which order you take them. But once you complete these 2, only then you can perform T2. Someone is asking, so T1 and T3 need to be previous event, right? Yes. So that's what I'm saying. That first you need to do either T1, T3, then T2, or you can perform T3, T1, and then T2. That's what this graph is saying. Okay. Hopefully making sense. Try this one. I'll not provide you any help. Okay, for this one, try it yourself. I'll just answer one more question. Someone is asking, is T2, T1, T3, T2 a cycle? So you are saying T2, T1, then T3. From T1, how do you go to T3? There is no connection from T1 to T3, right? So we will not be able to go there. Is the graph based on the schedule? Yes. So depending on whatever we have, in the schedule, the conflicting pairs that we have in the schedule, based on that, we create this graph. Okay, try this one. First, figure out how many conflicting pairs, then try to draw the diagram to see whether there is any cycle, and then tell me whether it is conflict equivalent, conflict serializable or not. So first thing to figure out how many conflicting pairs. Someone said 3, someone said 4. Someone wrote 4 and 4. Okay. 4. Yeah, looks like 4 is winning. So there are 4 conflicting pairs. Now try to draw the diagram and figure out the cycle. So if someone is struggling to figure out the conflicting pair, so there are 4 conflicting pair in this case. First one is W1X and R2X. So W1X and where is R2X? This one. Okay. So if we put that into the graph, so how it will look like? So from 1 to 2, there will be an edge. So from 1 to 2, there is an edge. Next conflicting pair is W1X and R2. So W1X and R3X. Where is R3X? This one. Okay. So that simply means there will be an edge from 1 to 3. Next conflicting pair is W3Z. So W3Z and R4Z. That is another one. So that simply means we will have an edge from 3 to 4. And finally, we have a conflicting pair is R2Y and W3Y. So R2Y and W3Y. So that is also conflicting. So there will be an edge from 2 to 3. So there will be an edge from 2 to 3. Is there any cycle in this graph? Is there any cycle in this graph? No, there is no cycle in this graph. Okay. So if you remember, what does cycle mean? Cycle means we start from one node and then we can come back to that one. Yeah, someone is asking, what about T1, T2, T3? Is that a cycle? No. You forgot the definition of cycle. Cycle means if we start from some place, we can come back to that one again. So can we come back to, let's say, T1? So from here, I can go to T2. From there, I can go to T3. I cannot come back to T1. If this arrow was on this side, think about that case. Okay. So if there was an arrow like this, then there is a cycle, right? T1, T2, T3, then again you can come back to T1. That same thing is true for any of the node in this cycle, right? So you can, if you start from T2 to T3, then T1, then T2. So you can start from any node and then you can come back, right? So that simply means there will be a cycle in this graph. That simply means it is not conflict serializable and we will not be able to do anything. But the graph that we have, in this case, there is no cycle, right? Since there is no cycle in this case, so it is conflict serializable. There is no cycle, so it is conflict serializable. Now, in which order we need to perform this task? So which one you can do first? Can I start with T2? Can I do T2 first? Definitely not. This line is saying to perform T2, you need to perform T1. Right? So I have only one option in here, that I first have to complete T1. Once I complete T1, then I have option either to do T3 or T2. Can I do T3 after doing T1? After doing T1, can I do T3? No, because T3 depends on T2. I first need to complete T2, then I can perform T3. So after T1, I must have to do T2. So T2 is gone. Then only I can perform T3, and then only I can perform T4. So this will be the only serial schedule available in there. This will be the only one schedule that we can generate, serial schedule we can generate from here. Does that make sense? It means we should pass all the transactions. Yes, we need to perform all the transactions that we have. Someone is asking for the question, do you want us to write everything like you have here? So that's what I said, right? So this is like a standard solution, how you can write everything. Okay, so you can exactly follow this, or you can simply write in any other way. Just make sure we can understand. Okay, so that is the thing. So you can think this one as a standard solution. Someone is asking, why can't we do T1 and then T3? How can you do T3 without doing T1? Sorry, T2. Someone is asking, can I do T1 and then T3? How can you do that? So before taking T3, you need to complete T2 course, right? So that's what this arrow is saying. So that simply means that that is not allowed, right? So this is the only schedule you can generate from there. For the previous example, is there an equivalent serial schedule? Previous means this one? Yes. There were two equivalent serial schedule we figured out. We can either perform T1, T3, T2, or we can perform T3, T1, T2. So there were two equivalent serial schedule there. In this case, I have only one, and that one is T1, T2, T3, and T4. Okay, hopefully making sense. So what does this read write means? So that you are not confusing those things. So that's why I have this, okay? Someone is asking for a break for a long time. Yep, you can take a break for 2 minutes, okay? If you're not going to take a break, then simply have a look into this one. I'll take a break of 2 minutes, then come back, okay? If you want to take a break, that's fine. If you don't want to take a break, I want to figure out which one is, these transactions that I have is equivalent to which of these, A, B, or C. Okay, we know what does read and write means, right? Select means read, update means write, okay? Those sort of thing we have familiar with. And these are the row number. So which row will be affected by each of these transactions that we have. Okay. From there, you need to figure out which one is equivalent to this figure one that we have, A, B, or C. Okay. Let us know if you want to take a break for 2 minutes, then try this. Okay. In the chat box, you can write A, B, or C, which one is equivalent to this figure one. Okay, I'm back. In the chat, I can see one person said C, everyone else is saying A. So no one is saying B, that's good. B is not there. Between A and C, it looks like A is winning. What is the difference between A and C in this line actually? If you look closely, so there is the difference between A and C. So that's what I'm going to explain first. For this line, think about what do we have to do. Grade equal to grade plus 5, right? So what do I have to do? Do I simply write for this line? So do I simply write, or do I first read something and then write? Which option, A or 1 or 2? Definitely this is the correct option, right? Because first we need to read the current grade of this student. What is the current grade that student have got, plus we want to add 5, right? And then write. So first we have to read the existing value and then write the new value. Okay. So that is the main difference in here. So in here, first we have to read the value and then write. Okay, but in here it was writing first. Okay. Hopefully, then that everything is making sense. So if you are not familiar with this, so here we have 3245 and comp 92129. So which one is this one pointing to? So this one is pointing to row number B, right? According to this question, 3245 and comp 2129. And here we simply have a select, right? So that simply means we'll simply read this B. So that's why I have R1B. Why 1? Because this is coming from transaction 1, right? So this one should make sense. 3245. So only we have 3245 in here, right? So we need to read both A and B. Okay. So we need to read both A and B. That's what we are using. Since this is T2, so that's why we have R2. Okay. For this one, we have grade equal to grade plus 5. Then first we need to read the current value of grade, then add something and write the value there. Okay. So that's what we have. First read and then write, first read and then write, because 4290, 4290, both of them will be affected, C and D. That's how the other things goes. Hopefully that is making sense. Someone is asking about this one. Last T2 before commit. Yep. So select sum of grade, right? From result where unit code equal to this. So what is it that we are doing in this case? Sum of grade, right? So we simply need to read in this case. And we don't have any write. So it's simply saying select, right? So that's why we have, I'm guessing this one is equivalent to these two. So we simply need to read where unit code equal to info 2120. So info 2120 is here and here. So we have A and C. So that's what we are doing. So we are reading, right? But we are not writing anything back. So we are simply reading these values, summing them up and printing it in the output stream, right? So we simply will have to read. If we had, let's say, grade equal to 100, okay, so in here, if I had something like grade equal to 100, at that time, that one will be only right? So because I don't need to read the current value, whatever the value is there, I'll simply override that one. Okay, so at that time, it will be simply right. But in this case, it will be read first and then write. Any other question, anyone? So this one will be A. Okay. Okay, looks like no question. Let me move on. Which functional dependency will be valid? In this case, might be valid. You are familiar with how to check valid functional dependency, right? So we simply take whatever we have on the left-hand side to see whether right-hand side value match. Okay, so if in two rows we have the same value, on the right-hand side, we need to have the same value as well. So for AB implies C, if we have these two, right? So from here we can see for 1 and 2, the output is 1, but for 1 and 2, the output is 3. So for the same input, we are getting different output. So that simply means that that is not a valid FD. So yeah, so that is not a valid FD. That's how if we check all of these, then we'll see that number 2 is invalid. Sorry, number 2 is the only valid one. All of the other things are invalid. Hopefully you remember this example, right? So if you do, this is what I want to figure out. Which of the following functional dependency might be valid? There could be more than one. Okay. So try to figure out which one could be valid. Someone said 1, 2, and 4. Anyone else? Someone said 1, 2, 4, 6. One, 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 4, 6. 1,246 plus 6. Yeah. Yep, everyone is saying 1, 2, 4, and 6. We can have a look. AB implies C, so I need to figure out two rows where AB value is same. Okay, so where is that? Let's say 2Y, right? 2Y. For that I have B, for that I have B. I don't have any matching pair, so this one is valid. What about C implies D? So when I have B, I am getting Y, but for this B, I am getting Z. So this is not valid. Sorry, I need to look into the other side. Not C to B, it should be C to D. Sorry about that. For B, I'm getting 20. For B, I'm getting 20. For B, I'm getting 20. Right. So yes, everything is valid. A implies B. A implies B. For one, I have X. For one, I have Z. So this is not valid. ABC implies D. ABC implies D. Do we have any matching? Yep. So here we have that matching value. 2YB, 2YB, and outputs 20. Right. So that one is fine. 5 is invalid. We can see 6 is valid from D to C, where I have 20 and 20 and 20. All of those cases we are getting B. Yep. So these 4 are correct. Someone is asking, how about 2 to Y? For which one you are asking? For which of these you are asking 2 to Y? A to B. Yep. So 2 to Y, that's fine, but we have a pair. For one, we have X. For one, we have Z, right? If at least one is wrong, then the whole thing is wrong. Someone is asking, can you please explain why choose 1, 2, 4, 6? Yeah. So first I will look into one. Is it valid or not? So we are going one by one. Okay. So first we are simply checking in number 1 for the left hand side where we have matching value for A and B. So here we have A, B, right? So we need to figure out all the matching values. So matching value simply means for A, B, here I have 2y. Here I also have 2y for A, B. Is there any matching values in here? 1x, 1z, 3z, those are not matching, right? So for these two now, I need to check the value of C. Is the value of C same? It is B, and in here we can see B, right? So that's why we are saying this is valid. So repeat that process for all of the functional dependency. C implies D. So we need to figure out where we have the same value in C. So B, B, B. All of those are matching values for C, right? And this is AC, no matching there, so we don't have to worry. So that one implies D. So for all of these B, do we have 20? Yes. In all of the cases, we have the same output, so that's why 2 is selected. Think about number C. A implies B. We need to figure out all the matching pair. A implies B. So here we have 1 and 1. Also, we have 2 and 2. So those are the matching pair, right? So for 1, we have X. For 1, we have Z. Looking into that one, we can say this is not valid. Although in 2, we have Y, 2, we have Y, that's fine. But we have one violation in here, right? So that's why A implies B is not valid. A does not imply B. So that is the same process you will do for 4, 5, and 6 as well. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. Okay. So next time, if I convert all of this to actual name, then what it will look like. Okay. I want to figure out these are the functional dependency. Okay. Some are right, some are wrong. It don't matter. So we have A, B, and C. What does these match, or which functional dependency matches with this statement? Okay, like a car, which will be identified using registration number, and driver will be identified by license number. So this line matches with which functional dependency? 1 to 6. A matches with which one? B matches with which one? And C matches with which one? Someone said A matches with 4. Anyone else? So the first one is saying a car, which will be identified by registration number, can have at most one driver. Driver will be identified by license. Someone said 2. So we have got 2 results for A. Someone said 4, someone said 2. Another one said 4. So we got 2 person in here who said 4, 1 person on 2. Let's see what other people thinks. Another one is saying 2. Two, 2 person say 2, another person say 4. 4. Competition is too much. 4, 4, 4. Looks like now 4 is winning. Now we have too many 4s. It looks like there are too many 4s now. Can someone explain why it is 4, not 2? Just think about what does functional dependency means. Okay? Functional dependency means that if I know the left-hand side, I can identify the value on the right-hand side. That's what we see in the previous slide. Right? The value need to match. So 4 is saying, knowing the registration number, you can know the license number of the driver. On the other hand, 2 is saying, knowing the license number, you can identify his car. Yeah. Someone said driver may have multiple cars. Yes, that could be true. One driver can drive multiple cars. That thing is not in here, right? But the other thing is written in here clearly that a car must have at most one driver. So knowing the registration number or the car information, you can figure out who the driver is because there will be only one driver, right? So that's why that one will be 4. If we figure that one out, then what about B and C? Think about B. So again, driver means that one will be identified by license number and address is address. Okay. Someone said B would be 5. B would be 5. Yeah. Hopefully making sense. Driver must be registered at a single address, right? So driver have a single address. So knowing the driver's information, that means license number, we can figure out his address, right? Because there will be only one. So it will be 5. The last one, what about the last one? A driver can be at most one car in any given accident. Driver identified by license, car identified by registration number, accident identified by accident ID. 2 people said C will be 6. 1 people said C will be 1. 6, 6. It will be 6. Yeah, most of the people are saying 6. So yes, it will be 6. Why? Because here, look into the statement. This one is saying at most one car, right? So the car value will be 1. So that's what we have in here. So knowing the license number and accident ID, there will be at most one car, right? At most means either null or only one value should be there, right? So knowing the driver information, accident information, we will get only one car's information for this. Hopefully these things are making sense. Next part is figuring out the candidate key. We already know how to calculate the candidate key, right? What do we have to do? First, we need to calculate AG plus, the closure of AG. If it contains all the attributes, then we can say that one will be a super key. And from there, we need to figure out whether the subset of this key are super key or not, right? So how do we do that? Just to remind you, we need to calculate AG plus. So we start with the given thing, AG. Since now we have A and G, we need to figure out which other attribute we can add. Since we have A and we have a functional dependency, A implies B, so we can add B in there, right? Because A is there, since left-hand side is there, we can add the right-hand side. Same thing, A implies C, so we can include C. Now we have C and G, so we can include H. Again, we have C and G, so we can include I. So now we can see that everything that I have in R, all of those things are in the result. That simply means AG is a super key. But the question is asking, is AG a candidate key? What do we have to do? We need to check the subset of AG. Subset is A plus and G plus. So we need to calculate A plus. So if we calculate A plus, from A, we can have B, C, right? From B, we can have H. So we can only have A, B, C, and H, right? Which is not equivalent to R. That simply means that is not a super key. For G, we can only have G, which is not equal to R. So that simply means AG is a candidate key, right? Hopefully you remember this thing. If you do, try to do this one. Is AB a candidate key for the given functional dependency and relation? Someone is asking why no I for A plus. So to include I, you need to have C and G. But in here, I only have C, no G. Right? So that's why I is not there. Looks like varying answers. Someone said yes, other people said no. Yes, yes, yes. No. No. Look into the question. Okay, the question is asking whether that is a candidate key or not. Yeah, now looks like no is winning. It is super key, someone is saying, but not a candidate key. Yes, you're right. Whoever said no, that one will be the answer. How do we know? First, we need to calculate AB plus, right? So we calculate AB plus. So we start with AB. Then we try to include whatever we have. Okay. So in here we have from A, we can have BDF. So that's what I'm including, BDF, right? And then from D, we can add C and E. So in here we have everything, right? So since we have everything, so AB is a super key. Since AB is a super key, what do we need to do? We need to calculate A plus and B plus and then check. So if we compute A plus, then we see the same thing, that it contains A, B, C, D, and F. That simply means AB is not a candidate key, right? Because AB is not minimum. Hopefully making sense. So AB is a super key, but it is not a candidate key because it is not minimum. Any question on this one? Someone is asking what should A do to become a candidate key? So A is a candidate key. In this case, A does not have to do anything. A is minimum, right? So there is no subset of A. So A is minimum. So A is a candidate key in this case, CK. But AB is not a candidate key. Someone is asking, what do you mean by minimum? Minimum means any part of this candidate key that we have is not a candidate key. Okay. So A and B think about this is student ID and this is semester ID, things like that. Okay. If only student ID is enough to figure out everything, so that's what we are seeing, that knowing the student ID, I can figure out all the things, right? So student ID and semester ID is not a candidate key in that case. Okay. So that is the minimum meaning. So AB, any part of AB, A or B, if A is not equal to R, B is not equal to R, okay, I should write A plus and B plus, then only AB is a candidate key, like we have seen in the previous example. But in this case, we can see that A plus is equal to R, so that simply means AB is not minimal. How about AB? So yeah, AB is not a candidate key in this case because part of it is equal to R. Do we need to describe each step in the exam? Yes. You need to explain why that is not a super key or why that is not a candidate key. Right. The closure of A can get all the attributes of R. So yep, A is the minimum. Candidate key is the minimum super key. Yes, everyone is right. Will there be any carry through error for this? Should we make a mistake early on? but what we conclude is correct. Depending on the mistake, right? You might get some partial mark, what you have done. If only AB will be candidate key? No. That's what we are seeing in here. AB is not a candidate key because for it to be a candidate key, it has to be minimal. But AB is not minimal. That's what we have proved in here. So AB is not a candidate key in this functional dependency or in this relation. A is a candidate key. From here we can see, right? But AB is not a candidate key. Okay, try again, but this time I simply replaced all of those A and B to use in exact name. Can you tell me which one are the candidate keys? It could be more than one. Okay, from these four, which one are candidate key for this relation? This is the relation, these are the functional dependencies. I have replaced those A and B's into actual term. Okay. You need to tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, which one are the candidate key? Someone said 2. Anyone else? 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. One, two, two only. Someone wrote 12. I mean 1 and 2, 2. Yep, 1, 2 looks like, yeah. So how do you calculate that? So calculate the plus, right? So that's what we need to do. So project ID and start, that's what you start, what you can do or you cannot do. So from project ID and start, you can have employee ID. Once you know the employee ID, you can add manager, right? Once we have employee ID and project ID, employee ID and project ID, we can have start and finish. Right. So here we can see all of those attributes are there. So it is a super key, first of all, and then we simply need to check from project, from start, what can we do? From project ID, if I only have project ID, can I do anything? No. Right. So just knowing project ID, we cannot do anything. Just knowing start, we cannot do anything. Right. So those are not super key. That simply means A is a candidate key. Once we know one candidate key, right? Anything that comes back to this one, right? So let's say AB comes to this one that I have, right? So any AB that can get to 1, because we know that this one means I'm meaning this one, project ID and start. Okay. So if I can come to this project ID and start, I can always go back to all that, right? So that could be a shortcut way to figure out whether that is a candidate key or not. Okay. At least that is a super key or not. So if we simply can go from employee ID to project ID and start, we know that we can go to all of the things. That could be a shorter way. But if you are not familiar or if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can simply again calculate the plus. So knowing employee ID and project ID, what can you add? Knowing employee ID, you definitely can add manager using the first one, right? Knowing employee ID and project ID, you can add start and finish. And finally, once you know project ID and start, you can add, what is it missing in from here? Employee ID, project ID. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so everything is in here. So it is a super key, right? Since this is a super key, we need to check whether employee ID is a primary key or not. candidate key or not. Employee ID can only go to manager, nothing else we can do. Project ID can only go to project ID and nothing else, right? So that simply means 2 is candidate key. Do I need to check 3 and 4? At least for 4, I don't need to check anything. Why? Because 1 and 2 are subset of 4. Yep. Since we have already proved that 1 and 2 are candidate key, so 4 cannot be a candidate key. Right. So 4 is automatically gone without checking. We can say that start, finish, and manager, those are not in the left-hand side. Right. Start, finish, manager. So we can't go anywhere with 3 and 4. So the correct answer is 1 and 2. Hopefully making sense. Someone is asking, candidate key must be smallest? Yes, minimal. So the candidate key must be minimal. That's what we have learned. Minimal super key is known as the candidate key. Okay, next one. This one everyone should be familiar with. So I have a table, YouTube study code and lecture ID, where lecture ID is the primary key. Okay. So which one will be in the output if we select? Someone is asking why 4 is not a candidate key, because it has 3 attributes, and we have already proved that employee ID and project ID is a candidate key. Employee ID and project ID is a candidate key. So that simply means this thing cannot be a candidate key anymore, right? Because subset is candidate key. That's what we have proved in here. Someone is asking what is a super key? So super key is something that can give us all the attributes value. Okay, super key implies R. R means all the attributes. 4 is a super key. Yes, 4 is a super key. So in this case, what will be the output? Anyone? Someone is asking, is candidate key must be super key? Yes. The definition of candidate key is that it is the minimal super key. So first it has to be a super key, and then the condition is it has to be minimal. Right? So that is the definition of candidate key. It must be minimal super key. Yep, everyone said 2. I'm guessing everyone remembers. So in here, in COM5138, I want to set 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So that simply means that we will not be able to do that because lecture ID is the primary key, right? So this transition will fail. That simply means if we select the lecture ID, it will come back as it is. Here. Yep. Okay, just couple of other things. This time I want to figure out the functional dependency yourself. So far I have given you the functional dependency so that you understand correctly. Okay, so I want you to write the functional dependency now. So give a set of functional dependency for this relation schema where I have R with 4 attributes A, B, C, and D with candidate key AB. AB is the candidate key given to you, under which R is not a 2NF. Give me a set of functional dependency for which R will not be in 2NF. If you remember 2NF, no partial dependency. Yep. Someone said B implies C. Yep. You need to write AB is a candidate key. How can we write that using functional dependency? Yep, excellent. Excellent job, everyone. So if AB is a candidate key, we can write AB implies CD, right? Because we already know AB always implies AB. So from there, we can simply derive AB implies CD. Right? And then if we have a partial dependency like B implies C, or someone is saying B implies D, or A implies C, or A implies D, anything, any partial dependency that we can have, that one will say that this is not in 2NF, right? Because of B and C, B implies C, we have a partial dependency. That's why this is not in 2NF. Or if you're writing A implies D, that one will be fine as well. Hopefully making sense. What about 2NF, but not in 3NF? Someone is asking, AB implies CD, not in 2NF. No, that is fine. That is in 2NF. Only when after that we write B implies C, at that time the whole thing is not in 2NF, right? So this one is simply saying AB is the candidate key. Have a look. You can try AB plus and things like that, and then A plus B plus. Okay. From here you will be able to see that AB is the candidate key. But once I have B implies C from that candidate key, right? At that time the whole thing becomes not 2NF. For this one, a lot of people are saying C implies D, A implies C, AB implies C, C implies D. Yep. Yeah. AB implies C, C implies D. Excellent job, everyone. Yeah, we can simply write something like this. AB implies CD, so that's what will ensure that AB is a candidate key, right? And then we can have any transitive closure. So if you remember transitive closure means something which is not a part of key, right? So C is not a part of key. Here key is AB. So if C implies something else, not a part of key, okay? So that simply means we have a transitive closure. So because of this functional dependency, this is not in 3NF, but this one is in 2NF. There is no partial dependency in here. Someone is saying, how do we know C implies D? So that's what we are figuring out, right? Someone is saying it could be AB implies C, C implies D, right? Yes, it could be. Because since C implies D, from there we will be able to figure out that AB is a candidate key. Yes, this one is just one possible answer. There could be lots and lots of possible answers from here. Someone is asking, ABC implies D is 3NF. What does other people think? ABC implies D. First thing, that would mean ABC is a candidate key, right? Because from here we can derive everything. ABC implies ABC. Sorry, it will say that ABC is a super key, right? From there we need to figure out whether AB is a part of that one or not. Since AB is a candidate key, okay? So all of those things will come into effect. Okay, this be the last one. No, so I still have two more, but I don't have time. Okay, so no worries. Next week we'll keep continuing this review. Okay, we don't have time today because of the tutorial. So go to your tutorial. We'll stop here today. Next week we will complete the next parts and also the first part that we had. Okay, ERD and things like that. Someone is asking, how will marker answer this? Do they get a big sheet of possible answers? So whatever you have written, we'll simply check from there. We'll do the reverse engineering. Right? So from here, we need to figure out whether that is in 3NF or not. Whatever the functional dependency you have from there, so that's what I normally do, right? So I give you a set of functional dependency and ask you whether it is in 3NF. Okay, so that's it for today, everyone. Take a break and then join your tutorial session. In the tutorial session, you will also have review, okay? And next week, we'll continue our review. Just remember, There is a quiz today, which will open at 9 p.m. and the deadline is tomorrow at midnight. Okay, 10 MCQ questions, 3 essay type questions will be there. Content is everything from week 6 to week 11, except for week 7. Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Which one will be the last week? A little bit question, can we explain the functional dependency in page 18? Yep, I can go there. Page 18, yep. So what does functional dependency mean? So from here, we have figured out that if the value of AB is same, right, the left-hand side value is same, the right-hand side value must be same as well. So that's what, knowing that thing, we want to figure out a car can have at most one driver. So, but whether a driver can drive more than one car, we don't know from this statement. But from this statement, we know that there will be at most one driver, right? So if I know the registration number, I will get only one driver's information. So there will be only one value. So that's why we are saying that this one will be number 4. Knowing the registration number, you can say to me what will be the license number of that driver. Same thing, driver must be registered at a single address. So driver have a single address, but in that address, there could be multiple drivers. Okay, so driver have a single address. So knowing the driver's license number, we can figure out his address because there will be only one. A driver can be in at most one car in any given accident. So once we know driver information and accident information, there will be only one car in there, right? So that's what this one is saying. Knowing the license number and knowing the accident ID, you can identify the registration number. Hopefully making sense. Will the quiz similar to these questions? Yep, quiz and especially final exam. So today we are only reviewing for final exam. Okay, final exam will be like this. Is final questions like this? Yes. Can you upload the slide? Yes, I will upload. Do you have tutorial today? Yes, you do have tutorial this week and next week as well. And there your tutorial review, the content as well for you. What will you review next week? Yep, the rest of the content from here and also from week 1 to week 5. Is today's slide will be uploaded? Yes, this will be uploaded in Canvas. Any other question, anyone? It's like no other question. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.